Here we go. Three the hard way. We are back in the house. Of course, the show wouldn't be the show without my fellas. We got the coach, Mr. Hot Rod, Rodney Young. What's up, Rod?
What's happening, fellas? Another week, another time to sit and talk a little sports with y'all. Listen, man, I'm excited. I'm like a kid during Christmas. Let's go.
And I'm loving what I'm seeing on T's side of things right now. Usually he's set up in his bookstore. This week is a little bit different. You see he's representing with the Cleveland Browns banner in the back, and he also has the Cleveland Indians, now the Cleveland Guardians hat on. What's going on, T? What's going on, man?
What's up, fellas? What's up, fellas? And what's up, Three the Hard Way viewers and fans? And happy Mother's Day out there, too.
Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Thanks for reminding me to say that, T. Well, fellas, let's get it going. I figure we should start with the NBA. Lots of crazy things going on in the NBA. It looked like early, like all the teams that were on the road were going to give all the home teams some problems. So let's start in Boston. Boston got one yesterday, so the series is now 2-1. But how surprised are the both of you that the New York Knicks came out, got the Celtics down 2-0? Again, they came back and won yesterday. But are you surprised at what you're seeing from the New York Knicks right now?
I was very surprised by the Knicks coming out, winning those first two games, although close. Boston shot horribly from the three-point line in both games, but only lost by, very small, minute numbers. But again, a win is a win, and the Knicks, stole those first two. Now, yesterday, it didn't surprise me that Boston bounced back and won, because Boston, one, they're the champs, and two, they're a great road team. They seem to come up big when they're away, from their home court. And I wouldn't be surprised if they tied that thing up tomorrow night. You talk about entertaining. All the playoffs to this point have been very, very entertaining.
Very entertaining.
Yeah, but to answer your question, no, I'm not surprised that Boston. I am surprised that New York took those first two. Not surprised at what Boston did yesterday, and I expect Boston to do it again tomorrow night. Go ahead, Rod.
Now, on the flip side of that, see, I'm rolling with the Knicks right now, because the Knicks is playing a different type of basketball that they did during the regular season. I looked at the box score yesterday when the Celtics won, and there were average games. I mean, Brown, he had an average game, you know what I'm saying? And so the person that stood out was actually Peyton Pritchard. I think he had like 29.
Yeah, great point.
Yeah, coming off the bench. If Peyton Pritchard, is outscoring your two main guys in Tatum and Brown, there's an issue. So, and for me, that's playing pretty well. And the Knicks are a problem right now. They're a problem with Boston, and Boston is beat up. You're starting to see it, is that this regular season has kind of beat them up. Jalen Brunson is an issue, and they're having a time dealing with Brunson. So, but the championship pedigree of Boston, I expected for them to win that one yesterday, which they did. But I'm a little nervous if I'm Boston, because if you got to depend on Peyton Pritchard to do that every game, there's going to be a problem. Tatum and Brown got to step up. If those two guys do not step up, I do see the Knicks pulling the shocker and pulling it out.
Yeah, I look at, man, very rarely when you see trades in the NBA, very rarely do you see it work out for both teams. Like, I was on my soapbox, man, at the beginning of the season. I was totally against the Cat, Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo trade, but it seems like it has worked out for both teams. Cat has always been this type of guy where he's just been criticized in Minnesota about not playing defense. Although he's not a shutdown post, his defense seems a little bit better in the postseason this year, and he's filling in to his role with all the Villanova Cats. I agree with you, Rod. I do think that if the Knicks are going to win this series, I think they've got to win the next game. Like, I don't think you can let the Celtics tie this thing up, because now it becomes a whole different series down the stretch. You guys agree with me, or do you see something different?
I agree, and I expect Boston, to win tomorrow night. But you're right, L Train. The Knicks have to put their foot on their neck and win tomorrow night. They have to. It's a must-win for the Knicks tomorrow night. Must-win.
I just believe that right now the Knicks have their number. The Knicks are not intimidated. I know this kind of confirms that the regular season sometimes doesn't really matter, because it came with this stat that the Knicks were 0 and whatever against all the top teams in the East, and then they come out and then they punch Boston in the mouth twice. So they got Boston's number. Okay, they coasted through, the regular season, but now you can see, you got Robinson, the big man. He's now got games up under his belt, which kind of nullifies the Porzingis factor. Like I said, Tatum and Brown, they're having a very subpar series. And like I said, Jalen Brunson is an issue. I really see the Knicks. This is a really crucial game. I agree with both of you. This is a crucial game, and if the Knicks pull this off, there's going to be panic in Massachusetts. I'm telling you.
Yeah, when you look at the game of basketball, I talk to a lot of sports fans out there that are conspiracy theorist type sports fans. They're always looking for the conspiracy in something. But what's amazing to me, and this is why sports psychologists make a lot of money, you've got the New York Knicks. They're up 2-0, okay? 2 games that nobody expected them to get. They come back home, fellas. They come back home to Madison Square Garden. That place is raucous. They slept in their own beds. All they have to do is win one more, and then they really have the Boston Celtics on the ropes. But they come back home, and they just lay an egg. I mean, not only did they lose, but they got their butts kicked for all intents and purposes. I mean, it's just amazing when you see some of these teams. I can say the same thing about the Indiana Pacers and the Cavs. Like, you've got the Cavs on the ropes. You come back home to your spot, and I know a big reason why the Cavs lost game 2 was because they didn't have their fellas. Now they got their fellas back. You'd have thought Indiana would have been like, hey, man, if we're going to win this series, we got to put the Cavs away right now. Neither one of those teams, the Knicks or the Indiana Pacers, could win that crucial game 3. What are your thoughts about that?
Right. Yeah. And I'm glad that all our players for the Cavaliers got back on the floor, nicked up, banged up, hurting, but we had to have them on the floor to win. And we need to do the same thing again tonight, because I feel and I think we're going to get them tonight. We're going to get them tonight. And then I think that's just going to crush Indiana's spirits. I really, really do. So tonight is a must win for us. We got to get them. Like I was telling Rob before you came on, if we can play 85, 90% of what we did Friday night, we're going to get them. So tonight is a must win for us. We got to get them.
The key right now, as you saw in game 3, was Darius Garland. Even though Darius Garland we know he banged up, we know he hurt. For him, he just changed the pace, because Ty Jerome is playing an awful series. They have exposed Ty Jerome. The fact that his foot speed is not good enough. He's not really making the shots that he normally made during the regular season. So by Darius Garland coming back, it actually gives them a change of pace. And you can go as far as saying this. They lost game 2 because they couldn't inbound the ball, basically. They couldn't inbound the ball, and they did not have another ball handler. Else, this whole series is switched over. Like, seriously. You're looking at a 2-1 going into game 4 tonight. But that's neither here nor there. I do believe the Cavaliers will win this game. I do believe it's going to be a dogfight, because they held Tyrese Halliburton to 4 points in game 3. I don't think Tyrese Halliburton is going to have 4 points in game 4. He's going to be assertive tonight. Now, he does have a wrist injury, and I think that is bothering him. But I think what the Cavaliers have done is they've been face guarding him. Max Strus has been a monster in this series. I think they've been face guarding Halliburton, and they've been saying, okay, you others, you guys are going to beat us. If you're going to beat us, it's going to be you others. Donovan Mitchell is right now all NBA, all world. He is averaging almost 40 points a game. I tell it to you like this. I'm going to shoot this to you real straight. I might be wrong, but I think Donovan's going to throw a 50 burger up tonight. He's been really close. And I really think that Indiana...
Does he need to do that? Does he need to?
I think he does. I think he's going to establish that he's the most dominant player in this series. And he's already done that. But by the others coming back, the Evan Mobleys, the Darius Garlands, the DeAndre Hunters, these guys coming back, and quietly, look at what Jared Allen is doing. Jared Allen is really playing some good basketball right now. So I said this at the beginning of the series, don't see anybody on that floor that can stop Donovan Mitchell, and they haven't up until this point. They haven't been able to stop him. Now, Indiana been playing a little football, Okay, they've been playing a little football because the scouting report on the Cavaliers is be physical with them. However, the Cavaliers are meeting the challenge.
There they are.
I think this game is going to be a dogfight. I really do. I think Donovan, if he doesn't get 50, he's going to be really, really close, like the 48 I believe he had in game 2. But I do see this at the end of the day tying up at 2-2 and going back to Cleveland for game 5. The next three games, 2 of the 3 will be in Cleveland. I see Cleveland finishing it off if they win this game tonight.
I'm glad that both of you guys brought up Donovan Mitchell, because when you see greatness, there's always levels to greatness. You know, there are a lot of players that are great. I'll give you a perfect example. You can look at a guy like Kevin Garnett, who was a great player, but he was not on the level of, let's say, like a Michael Jordan. So when I say there's a level of greatness to things, you guys brought up Donovan Mitchell, man. Donovan Mitchell's bag is so big. Like, he is just a beautiful player to watch. I wish my guy, Anthony Edwards, had a little bit of Donovan Mitchell in him, in terms of Donovan can control the game without scoring. Donovan can control the game on the defensive end. Everybody knows how talented of a scorer he is, but the way he can flip the switch, and once he releases that dog in him, I mean, like you said, Rod, you just said he's the most dominant player in the series. You are 1,000% correct about that. Donovan Mitchell can flip that switch anytime. How great is Donovan Mitchell? Because I look at him, everybody in Cleveland knows how good he is. But I can sit here and argue, man, that he's one of the most underrated players in the league. The dude has a bag. What are your thoughts about Donovan Mitchell, man? How great is he?
Yeah, he is. And how would I put it? He's nicked up. He's hurt, but he hits that floor and he bounces up like a champion, man. He is the core of the team. He's the engine that drives the ship, okay? And, I would love to see him, put up close to 50. If he puts up close to a 50 piece, hey, we may beat them by 20 tonight. We just may. Yeah, but he's locked in. He's locked in. He's zoned in. I mean, he's got that pit bull in him, and, thank God, for it. And if he comes through tonight like that, hey, Indiana, y'all are really, really, really in trouble.
My first thought was when the Cavs lost game 2, my first thought went to Donovan Mitchell, because he played a hell of a game.
Yeah, he did.
And he didn't deserve to lose that game, but we all know it's a team game. I just felt for him that game, Rod.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, if you notice at the press conference, if you really listen to what Donovan was saying, he sent some shots to Darius, to DeAndre Hunter, to Evan Mobley. He sent a shot. It was very subtle, so you got to go back and you got to watch it. And he talked about, we're all banged up at this point, but I got to get myself prepared to be out here for game 3. Right. And so he sent a subtle shot to his guys saying, hey, you can't help us being in the cold tub. You can't help us being on the training table. If you're able to get out there and go, let's go. Donovan Mitchell has been through wars. When he was in Utah, he's been through the wars. He's been through the fire. He got called out. If y'all remember, Shaquille O'Neal
Jack was calling him out.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
To his face and told him, I don't think you're good enough to win a championship. You think he doesn't remember that? He understands that. So not only is he playing to try to get to the championship, he's playing for legacy. Because the one thing he wants people to understand, Donovan Mitchell, he's like, I'm a top 10, top 15 player. He wants to be the top of the top. And if you go through right now, he took a back seat this season, scoring wise. He is his lowest scoring total for the season.
It worked.
And they won 65 games. Okay, so he's bought in, but he's the unquestioned leader. And throughout these playoffs, you can't say Anthony Edwards. You can't talk about Tatum and Brown. You can't talk about Jokic in Denver. You can't talk about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in OKC and not mention Donovan Mitchell.
No, you can't.
Donovan Mitchell is scary. He is a problem. He makes it look rather simple in what he does. And I became a fan because I didn't realize how good of a shooter he is. Even though he's been off during this series from the three-point line,
His calf is sore. He ain't getting that lift. His calf is sore. He's not getting that lift.
Through it, you know what I mean? So, no, Donovan Mitchell is a problem. And when you look at this series, Donovan Mitchell has to every single night be the best player on the floor. And other than, I want to say game one, he has been. And tonight, he will be again. They don't have an answer for Donovan Mitchell. They don't. And that's why I see the Cavs ultimately winning the series.
Yeah, Ron, I wanted to ask you, how did Garland get into that foul trouble in the last game? What was that all about?
Because Darius Garland has a preponderance of being a hothead. He's still young. He's still inexperienced. That fourth foul was very stupid. I don't like using that word, but it was stupid. He pushed off. He did it right in front of the official. It didn't make any sense. So there are times where Darius Garland shows his age. He's still young. This is honestly his first playoff run legitimately. They did it last year, but I'm saying legitimately because J.B. Bickerstaff, to his credit, he wanted to avoid the New York Knicks. That's why they tanked the last couple of games so they could go ahead and deal with the Orlando Magic, which the Magic took them to 7. Okay, so Darius is really in his he was in his fields because Indiana's playing football. That's the only way you can call it. When you look at the game, and we've all played this game, it comes a time where, I can be fouled, and okay, you can foul me, but it's always that one foul where you got to turn around and you got to tell that dude, hey, man, you foul me like that again, we're going to have a problem. It's a difference. And so Indiana knows that they feel that if you can be physical with the Cavaliers, that's why it's going to be some physicality tonight. It really is. They think that they're the more physical team than the Cavaliers, but the Cavaliers have been responding. So at the end of the day, you still got a guard. And that Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, Max Strus, you got to guard that. And Indiana can't. And their bench is not as deep. Now, Ty Jerome, I'm hoping that Ty Jerome can get off the schneid. Because if Ty Jerome can get off the schneid, they're going to beat Indiana by 25. Because their bench is just deeper. I do question Kenny Atkinson not playing Craig Porter Jr. on the times that he did not play Ty Jerome. Craig Porter Jr. can play. That young fella can play, but he's young, but he's 26 years old. Okay, you got to put that guy in the fire and let him play. So that's my only criticism of Kenny Atkinson. I think he's doing a great job, and I do believe the Cavaliers will win this one tonight, and they'll ultimately win the series.
Yeah, Kenny Atkinson's been doing a fantastic job. When you look at a guy like Donovan Mitchell, man, his bag is so extensive, and I think that he is actually unguardable one-on-one. I mean, you can use some tricked up zones, some matchup type zones to try to squelch him a little bit. But he's such a playmaker. And again, there's so many levels to his game that he's hard to stop. I agree with you guys. I think this is the first legit run that the Cleveland Cavaliers have had in the playoffs, probably since the LeBron James era. I mean, this is a learning process for everybody going forward. So I agree with you guys. I think the Cleveland Cavaliers gets this one tonight. And I think the Indiana Pacers let the Cleveland Cavaliers off the hook because the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to win this game. And I believe whoever wins these game 4s are going to win the series. And I'm looking at both series between the Knicks and the Celtics, the Cavs and the Pacers. Like, I think this game is of the utmost importance, and I don't see the Cavaliers not showing up tonight.
Right.
Speaking of great players, man, Jokic, around some circles, people are calling him the best player in the league. I don't know if you fellas are there. I know he's one of the best players in the league, but they were talking about during their last game, like he's drawing up plays in the huddle. He's engaged. The numbers that he put up last game are like video game type numbers. How good is Nikola Jokic? Best player in the league, fellas?
He's close to it, Train. He's close to it. You're right. They've been talking about it all week. Now, some of the experts say back in the day if he had a good 4 and a 5 to go up against, would he really, really be this good? Some of the teams in the past, back in the 80s and 90s, that had a big forward and a center. Would Joker be putting up these numbers? He makes it look easy, man. He really does. And then, like somebody was saying the other day too, he's got a very quick first move. It doesn't look that way on TV, but they say on the floor, he's got a very quick first move, which, once he makes that happen, it's all downhill from there. Yeah, I wish we had him on our team. I'll say that. The kid he's top 2 or 3 in the league. He is, no doubt.
Now, I won't go as far as saying is that he's the greatest, one of those. But I will say Nikola Jokic is the most impactful big man in the game today. he's the most impactful because just like you said, L Train, he's putting up video game numbers, and this dude can't jump over a playing card.
That's right.
That's just him. He is very, very impactful. He uses his body very well. Me at one time coaching big man, footwork, things of that nature. He understands the game. And as slow as he is coming up the floor, I've never seen anybody steal the ball from Nikola Jokic. I just really haven't. Yeah, and he's an inside-outside threat. He can sit there outside, he can light you up, and then if you put a smaller body on him, he's going to take you down in the post. He's very, very impactful. But I'm going to be honest with you, the key to Denver series, yes, Nikola Jokic is one of the keys, but look at how Russell Westbrook is playing right now.
Yeah, he's balling.
Russell Westbrook is playing like the old Russell Westbrook. He out there walking, he talking, but he's bringing energy that the Denver Nuggets didn't have during the regular season. And even Aaron Gordon has now extended his game to where he's outside the 3-point line. And now, when Aaron Gordon was in Orlando, you just looked at him as a post player dunker. Now his game is matured, and then you got Michael Porter on the other side with Jokic. You got a 5-out situation with Nikola Jokic with the ball in his hand. That's a hard pill to swallow, people. And so, but to answer your question, I think he's the most impactful. Honestly, the best player in the game right now, and I don't really think he knows it, is that boy in Minnesota, man. That Anthony Edwards kid, when he figures it out, and like most great players do, when he figures out that he is the most athletically gifted guy on the floor, and then recognizes the nuances of the game, that's the face of the league right there. It's Anthony Edwards.
It's scary because he's got a lot more basketball to go. He's got a lot more to learn. So that's what makes it even scarier with Ant Edwards. Yeah.
Right now, he's still learning the game, and he's playing at a very high clip, at a very high level, and he's just learning the game. Once he learns it, when Anthony Edwards figures this thing out, my goodness gracious to my heaven up above, there's going to be nothing that'll be able to contain that young man. That'll be the reincarnation of Jordan. I don't throw Michael's name in vain.
Right.
I don't throw Michael's name in vain. But Kevin Garnett said this, is that Anthony Edwards reminds him of Jordan in '85. And so if you understand how Michael was in 1985, it makes a lot of sense. Now, my only fault with Anthony Edwards is I think now because he can hit the 3-point shot, he's falling in love with it. And that's the detriment to his game. He is a person that puts pressure on defenses. And if he stands back there and he shoots 3-point shots, he's not putting pressure on the defense. So that's what I mean by learning the game. But yes, Jokic is the most impactful.
And are y'all going to be able to keep him in Minnesota? That's the thing, too. Are you going to be able to keep him there?
Well, listen, man. Look. You never can tell. These careers are so long nowadays. Like, a safe bet would be, eventually he's probably going to leave for a bigger market eventually. The question is, will he leave before he gets the Timberwolves a ring? Now, I have a little bit different take on Anthony Edwards. I love Anthony Edwards. I'm a big-time Anthony Edwards guy. Anthony Edwards is a complete dog. He's an alpha. But like I said, when you talk about greatness, like there's a level to it. My biggest critique about Anthony Edwards is this. I think there are times in big moments where he is okay with deferring and shying away from the moment, and it's crazy. It's crazy because he puts up really, really good numbers, but I watch a lot of Minnesota Timberwolves games. And I think the difference between him and a guy like Jordan or a guy like Kobe, and we can even go back to LeBron because I think LeBron was criticized for this early in his career, that there is this time where your team needs you and you have to be the most impactful player out there. And I think, like you said, Rod, I think you put it as once he figures it out, it is the last thing that he has got to figure out to understand how good he is, understand how important he is to the Timberwolves in certain moments. And I think that's just the one thing that's missing from his game. There's just like plenty of times as Timberwolves fans, we're watching the game. We're like, come on, Ant. Come on, Ant. You got to do, come on, Ant. And it just takes him a while to get going. Like last game, it took him to the fourth quarter.
Right. Yeah.
To really get the ball going. And the first half, he had only taken like 1 or 2 shots.
He's learning.
Yeah. So I think it is about learning, but I just think it's the one thing that's missing from his game.
But then that falls into the Mike Conleys of the world. You know what I'm saying? The Mike Conleys who is the veteran on that team that says to Anthony Edwards, hey, young fella, we can't go nowhere without you. You need to stop sitting and waiting. I need you to go ahead and go. Every great player has had that. And Vince Carter, he had Charles Oakley. Charles Oakley
remember that.
told him. He said, look, man, we can go out here and we can do what we do, but you are that alpha out here. You need to realize that. You know what I'm saying? Michael had it. You know, Michael had it when he was coming up. He had veterans that said, okay, you need to get after it. You know what I mean? He couldn't now. Magic Johnson was different. Magic came in and knew he was the guy, you know, but you know, Anthony just needs that veteran, that grown man, you know, that Randall, that guy to say, hey, look, man, I got your back. But when it comes to at the end of the day, I need you to be special. And I think Anthony knows that he's special. I just don't think he realizes and recognizes how special he is. Now, do I see him finishing his career in Minnesota? Minnesota fans, please don't kill me, but I don't. I
think it's a smart guess.
Yeah, I see him doing a Kevin Garnett and traveling to a larger market, you know, but I see him doing Minnesota a service and getting Minnesota, you know, back to where they once was, like when Kevin Garnett and Stephon Marbury and Tom Gugliotta and those guys were there. I can see it. But as of right now, Anthony Edwards is still learning, and seeing how he's putting up numbers and how he's playing defensively and doing what he's doing, and he hasn't figured it out yet, that is going to be scary.
Yeah. I think it's a safe bet that eventually he's going to live. I mean, how many stars stay in one place for the duration? I think the first domino to fall of a superstar leaving and going somewhere else is going to be Giannis Antetokounmpo in Milwaukee. I think I see him playing next year. After next year, all bets are off in terms of Giannis being in Milwaukee, man, for sure. One thing I wanted to touch on with you guys about is this whole Jason Tatum thing. I just got one question for you. Most overrated player in the playoffs right now? What's your thoughts on Tatum?
Wow. I wouldn't say overrated.
Okay.
He's just, I don't know. Wow. I don't know. He's just not playing well right now. He's not playing well. And maybe you can, you know, put that off on the Knicks and how they're, you know, playing him. Yeah, he's not himself. He's not himself. Now, he kind of bounced back yesterday, and I expect him to bounce back again tomorrow, because again, they're going to tie that series. They're going to tie it. Not saying they're going to win, but they're going to tie it, because again, they play better on the road, and they are the champs at the end of the day. What's going on with him now? He's just not himself. I don't know. What do you say, Rod? He's just not himself.
So I will, you know, I won't, somebody of his caliber, I will never call underrated. I think he's underappreciated. I'm be honest with you.
That's
because his game is so smooth and simple that you sometimes don't pay attention to how good Jason Tatum really is. Is he slumping right
He's
now?
real good.
Absolutely. But Jason Tatum, when he's locked in, Jason Tatum is somebody that you don't want to see, because he's a 3-and-D guy. Okay, he'll D you up on the other end, but he'll give you buckets on the offensive end. So I just think he's underappreciated, and it started in the Olympics. Shame on Steve Kerr for not playing him during the Olympics after coming off of winning an NBA championship. Shame on him. I'm just being honest. Yeah, shame on him. Now you couldn't find minutes for a guy who had just won an NBA championship. That doesn't make sense to me. And I can go as far as saying shame on Steve Kerr for not bringing Jaylen Brown. He was the Finals MVP. You know, bring Derek White. Okay, I'll give you that. But you play Derek White more than you do Jason Tatum? Give me a break. So that's why I mean he's unappreciated. I think the people of Boston appreciate. I appreciate him because I'm a basketball guy and I appreciate great players. Jason Tatum is a great player, okay? He right now he is slumping, all right? People want him to take over, but if you're physically unable to take over a game as much as he wants to, okay, So now he can defer to Jaylen Brown. He's got that Robin to his Batman. Okay, so let him do that. But I don't think he's underrated. I think he's very, very underappreciated.
Yeah, and he's not 100% right now either. Yeah, he's not 100%.
Yeah,
No.
when you talk about Jason Tatum, man, it seems like, he is just a magnet for criticism. The whole thing with the Olympics, and then even before he won a ring, it was like, can this guy lead the Boston Celtics, to a ring? And now, T, you're right. He's kind of in a slump. He's not playing his best basketball, but he's a big reason why you've gotten as far as you've gotten and where you are in the playoffs. And I think the word underappreciated rather than being overrated probably is the best term to use, because sometimes I just feel sorry for the young man because he's done a lot for that franchise, and there just doesn't seem to be that level of appreciation for him, which is just really, really incredible. Let's flip the script a little bit. Let's go to the NFL. Fellas, we all love our Cleveland Browns, but there was some news this week from the Pittsburgh Steelers, and for the life of me, I'm trying to grasp what Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers are doing this offseason with their franchise. George Pickens traded to the Cowboys. Now him in that Cowboys locker room, that's a whole different story. But when I look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I'm not mad at them, anything that helps the Cleveland Browns be better in that division, I am for. But what is the plan do you guys see from the Pittsburgh Steelers? Man, there's been an Aaron Rodgers talk and now the George Pickens deal going to the Cowboys. What's the vision for the Pittsburgh Steelers right now and Mike Tomlin?
Yeah, I was listening to CBS Sports this morning, CBS Radio Sports early this morning, and what they were saying is that Rodgers may sign with them as early as this week, okay? Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. Why? I don't know. He's not the Aaron Rodgers that we were once used to. Okay, he's not that Aaron Rodgers of 2-3 seasons ago, and even further beyond. Again, being a Browns fan, I don't want anything good to happen with that organization. I'm glad Shador didn't land in their lap and we got him. I'm glad to see Pickens go. I really am. Great player, but a knucklehead. But exit stage right now, he's in the NFC. Somebody for you to deal with. He's your problem now, L Train, in the NFC. But to answer your question, CBS Sports was saying this morning that Rodgers may sign with them this week. And then that they shouldn't have moved on, from the kid from the Bears. They shouldn't have moved on from him. Pittsburgh, I don't know why they gave up on him. But I don't want anything good to happen with those guys. So I'm just kind of watching out the corner of my eye. What do you say, Rod?
Man, I Pittsburgh can burn an effigy.
You're going to say that.
But because it's 3 the hard way, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna try to be as impartial as possible. The George Pickens thing, if you really notice what Mike Tomlin does, is when they get rid of people, they really don't latch on anywhere. Think about it. Antonio Brown, see what happened with him. Juju Smith-Schuster, look at what happened with him.
That running back they had.
Yes, Mike Brown knows when it's time to move on. From a person, because they have Steeler culture, all right, and he has been personified in that Steeler culture, and if you don't flow with the Steeler culture, you're not going to be there.
Standard is the standard.
Yeah, the standard is the standard, and that's what it is. So was I shocked that George Pickens was traded? No. Was I shocked that he was traded to Dallas? Yeah. Was I shocked at what Dallas gave up for him? That was crazy. But I see what the Steelers are doing. If Aaron Rodgers decides to walk in the door, for me as a Cleveland Browns fan, I don't care if it's Aaron Rodgers, Mr. Rogers, or Roger Rabbit. It doesn't matter to me who's walking in that door. You've got to deal with Myles Garrett and those guys up front, Mason Graham. You got to deal with those guys up front. But DJ Metcalf on the outside, name me any other receiver other than Freiermuth, who's their tight end. They don't frighten me. The Steelers don't frighten me. Now, Mike Tomlin's history, they're going to be in the mix. They always are. He has not had a losing season since he's been in Pittsburgh. But it's just going to happen again. They're going to win games. They may get to the playoffs, and then they're going to get boat raced in the playoffs like they always do. Plus, there's a bigger problem in Pittsburgh, and that's TJ Watt. They've got to pay him. This is the last season.
They better pay him. Pay him.
Yeah.
But look at how messed over Pittsburgh. By them giving Myles Garrett $40 million a year. Now Pittsburgh, if they believe that TJ Watt is better than Myles Garrett, then you have to pay him. And so now, because Pittsburgh doesn't pay a lot of money to its athletes, they never have. The Rooneys have been great, don't get me wrong, but they don't go excess for guys that they feel like they can replace. Look for Pittsburgh to possibly move on from TJ Watt. Look for it. Okay, I'm not saying that I'm the football prophet, y'all, but what I'm saying is Pittsburgh is not going to pay in excess of $41 million to TJ Watt. They're just
okay with that. Get him out of there.
Yeah, he
I'm
can
okay
come
with
on
that.
up to Minnesota. He can come on up to Minnesota if he wants to. We'll take it. He'll look good in purple. He'll look good in purple. You know, talking about the Aaron Rodgers thing, Derek Carr retired.
Yes.
From the New Orleans Saints. Does
That's
that
crazy.
make a difference in this whole Aaron
Possibly.
Rodgers thing, man?
Possibly.
Listen, because right now, if we swing real quick to Cleveland has a conundrum right now. Training camp is getting ready to start. They don't know whether it's going to, they already know Joe Flacco is going to be the starter. The problem is Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders. That boy Sanders, Shedeur is going to put some pressure on the Browns. He's going to do it. By Derek Carr retiring, which that is a shocker.
That blew my mind.
Yeah, I didn't think he was going to retire so soon and so young, but congratulations. He's made a lot of money. You know, now him and his brother can go commentate together. Don't be surprised, because I heard Jameis Winston might possibly go back to New Orleans, but I also heard Kenny Pickett is also an option. If the Browns were to trade Kenny Pickett, they only got a 5th-round pick for him when they got him from Philadelphia. If they can, you know, Andrew Berry is trying to stock load picks. So I could see Andrew Berry sending Kenny Pickett to New Orleans for some lower round draft picks.
And I'll be
can
okay
see
with that.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco, you have Dylan Gabriel, and you have Shedeur Sanders. Everybody and their mama's mom is happy now. Because if Joe Flacco goes down, now you can throw Dylan Gabriel in. If Dylan Gabriel goes in, which, you know, if Dylan Gabriel goes down, which the Browns hope never happens, Shedeur Sanders will become the new starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Because once he gets the opportunity, he's not going to lose it. And he is now, if everyone is paying attention on the outside, he has now built up such a fan base in Cleveland. Cleveland would be ignorant to cut him. They're going to have to keep Shedeur Sanders just simply because his jersey is going to be the #1 selling jersey. He's going to bring butts to the seats. Watch these preseason games. He's going to bring butts to the seats. Dylan Gabriel better play. And with Dylan Gabriel, they just got another, I don't want to say Johnny Manziel. That's disrespectful, but a Baker Mayfield. They got a Baker Mayfield clone. That's what they got in Dylan Gabriel. And he's just left-handed. Okay? But Shedeur Sanders,
Bailey Zappi guy. They call him Bailey Zappi too.
way into that starting lineup. He's going to will it. They can't deny him. Can't deny it. But yeah, that was surprising seeing Derek Carr retire. I saw that this morning. That was really shocking.
Really shocking. Speaking of quarterbacks, T, there's a young man up there by you, Jayden Daniels, who was just box office last year as a rookie. I mean, had arguably one of the best rookie years that there's been in the NFL in a long time. And then the year before that, you had CJ Stroud from the Ohio State University. All right.
In Houston.
If you had to put money down on one of those two quarterbacks right now, who's better, fellas? CJ Stroud or Jayden Daniels?
Stroud had a bad year, bad season last year. That kid Daniels, man, he was electric, you know, just 120 miles north of me in Washington. And if he remains healthy, he's going to do it again. He's going to do it again. And there's expectations for him to do it again. Now, I hope that pressure on him, you know, doesn't, you know, kind of minimize his play. Because I think CJ Stroud had a lot of pressure put on him from his first season, and he dropped off last year. But they're expecting great things out of that kid in Washington. They're already sold out for the year. And they've even talked about, you know, resurrecting old RFK Stadium, okay? So they want to get RFK Stadium back in the mix. But they're excited about that kid here on the East Coast, man. They love him. They love him. Yeah. They're excited, yeah.
Rod,
RFK Stadium, right?
Before you go, CJ Stroud, he had kind of like a sophomore slump type year. But man, let me tell you something, Rod, and you coach football. The coaches in the NFL are really good. So I think the more film that you got on CJ Stroud kind of contributed to what he was this year. I kind of see the same thing with Jayden Daniels. I'm not saying that he's going to fall off, but what I'm saying is when these defensive coordinators start accumulating that film, year 1 to year 2 is going to look completely different.
Yeah, I equate it to when you get a baseball player from the minor leagues and he comes up to the major leagues and he hits 300. That's because people don't have a scouting report on him. But then as soon as they get a scouting report on how to throw, he can't hit the curveball, then all of a sudden he's below the Mendoza line. You know what I mean? So when I look at Jayden Daniels, I take a different perspective because I was out here when Jayden Daniels was the quarterback for Arizona. I saw Jayden Daniels when he was out here. My only knock on Jayden Daniels is when stuff got tough, he ran. Now, he ended up winning the Heisman Trophy and all that, but it got tough at ASU, and he didn't want to stick it out. He took off. So my question is when it gets tough in Washington, will he crumble up under the pressure, or will he stand tall? When it comes to CJ Stroud, think of the weapons that CJ Stroud had around him. He didn't. Really, he didn't. And so, yeah, it was a sophomore slump. I think, now, this is no knock on Jayden Daniels. I think Jayden Daniels is a tremendous quarterback. I think he is a perfect fit for the Commanders. I really do. I'm just laughing because the resurrection of RFK Stadium, I guess we'll bring John Riggins and the Hogs back too, huh? That's funny. But, Joe Gibbs going to show back up. But I think he's a tremendous quarterback. I think they have the right pieces around him now where he can go to that next level. We just got to stay and remember that this kid is young and he's still going to learn the game. Teams are going to scheme him, okay? They're going to scheme him this year more than they did last year. But I do believe that he has the wherewithal to be a top-notch quarterback. He's going to have to being in that division because they're going to come each week. Do I think he's better than CJ Stroud? Well, I got Buck out. I can't say that he's better than CJ. I think they're equal. Honestly, I really do. Honest perspective, I think they both have great qualities. I think Jayden Daniels will do something that CJ Stroud won't. CJ Stroud's not a runner. And I think that's what gets him in trouble a lot is there's nothing there and he needs to get out of there and he doesn't. Where Jayden Daniels is a young kid and he's like, nah, you ain't hitting me, I'm about. And he gone. He does that. But I kind of think they're even on that platform.
And remember the Commanders, their number 1 pick was an offensive lineman. I can't call the kid's name, so that just lets you know how much value they have in that kid. That was their number 1 pick, an old lineman to protect them.
Yeah, Jayden Daniels, in my opinion, is going to be box office. The only question about Jayden Daniels going forward, in my opinion, is going to be, can he withstand the physical punishment of the NFL? Will he stay elusive and taking big hits? He's got that slight of body frame. So there's definitely that, there's definitely some concerns about that. We talked about CJ Stroud, fellas, in the Ohio State University. Big news out of Columbus. Ryan Day signed that contract extension to 2031. That well-deserved by Ryan Day? I mean, it's top 2 money. It's top 2 money, fellas. Is that well-deserved?
Yeah, well-deserved. He won the championship,
That's right.
Now, this year he just got to beat Michigan. He's got to beat Michigan so Rod can give him a break. Because if he don't beat Michigan, Rod will run him out of there himself. But
hey, what if he doesn't beat Michigan this year? Let's play hypothetical. Let's say they have a great season. They're undefeated again. They play Michigan. He's hot off a national championship. He loses to Michigan. What is the vibe in Columbus?
Well, it'll be just like how it was last year, but he can redeem himself by winning the championship again. That's all I can say.
Yeah, when it comes to the Buckeyes, I mean, he won a national championship, so you have to reward him for him winning a national championship. And here comes my word, L Train. However, if he loses to Michigan again this year, I don't think the Buckeye faithful will be so friendly. I mean,
even after a national championship, Rod?
No, because the way it used to be, and I know times have changed or changing, but the way it used to be, the Buckeye Michigan game that I grew up watching, I don't care if you were undefeated. I don't care if you bludgeoned teams by 70. If you didn't beat that team up north, your season meant nothing. Your season meant nothing. I mean, go to the pros. If the Browns don't beat the Steelers, it means nothing. Yeah, you can beat the Bengals. The Bengals always were terrible. But it was the Steelers. It was that Steeler Nation, that terrible, stank, yellow, ugly, black towel. If
I lost a bet to one of my sailors years ago, so I got it back there. I lost a bet.
but you have it out of sight, I hope.
Yeah, it's out of sight.
Yeah, so, but with the Buckeye, you have to beat Michigan. Just like Michigan has to beat Ohio State. Now, the reason I believe that the Buckeyes will beat Michigan this year, Michigan's under sanctions. They got caught up bad. The coach has been suspended for a couple of games. They got caught doing some terrible stuff up there that's not really been talked about when Harbaugh was there. But they've been under investigation, and they got some stuff that they got to do. Now, they do have a absolute stud at quarterback now. This kid, and his name slips me right now, but this kid is a stud. I just believe the Buckeyes will do it this year. What they got to worry about, their first challenge is actually going to be against Arch Manning in Texas. So they need to worry about that. But to answer your question, yeah, if he lost to Michigan, well, there'd be problems in Columbus, with new contract or not.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm a little bit late to the party in terms of watching the Ohio State Buckeyes spring game. I had an opportunity to get some time and watch that this week. Man, Julian Sand, oh my God.
Yeah.
Listen.
He's the real deal.
And in my opinion, the quarterback competition is over.
Right.
It's over. That kid,
right.
Although being a freshman, he is going to make freshman mistakes from time to time. That is a legit bona fide quarterback.
What's the best thing you like about him, L Train?
Man, he can throw from different angles. He reads defenses really well. I know it was the Scarlet Gray game. I get it. A lot of stuff out there was vanilla. But the way he gets rid of the ball quickly, he can make all the throws, and he's underrated mobility-wise, being able to move in out of the pocket, creating great passing angles. And I think he's got that little bit of dog in him. I mean, if Nick Saban wanted him, I mean, he's got to be pretty legit. And when I look at all the other quarterbacks that the Ohio State Buckeyes played during that spring game, they weren't bad. But
right.
when you see different pop off the page at you, you know it. And Sand is just a little bit different. I think he's going to be better than Will Howard was last year.
Yeah, I absolutely agree on that. That's why Aaron Nolan transferred out. It wasn't because of Will Howard being there. It was because of Julian Sane. Yeah. That kid, the kid can play. Okay, and I'm just looking at the receiving core that the Ohio State Buckeyes have, the running backs, the line, everything that they're just retooling. So like I said, I don't think they'll miss a beat. But I agree. I love Julian Sane. That kid is a bona fide quarterback. He's bona fide.
And real quick, while we're on college football, something for you guys to pay attention to in the weeks to come. The president wants to, come up with a way to do the NIL stuff a little different. So keep your eye on that. They were talking, I caught the tail end of that this morning, on the news. He wants to restructure NIL, and Tommy Tuberville, the senator, and the old guy in Alabama are going to be on board with that. So keep an eye out on that going forward with NIL money and college football players.
So real
the
quick,
president should be getting involved with that.
No, I just don't. I mean, come on, man. You got enough time to deal with the problems that's going across the world, that's going in America, and you worried about NIL money. That has nothing to do with you. Now, how do you solve this? 60 seconds. I'm going to tell you how you solve it. You put a set price for each position. That's it. You have a set price for each position. So if you're an offensive lineman, here's what you can make. If you are a wide receiver, here's what you can make. If you are a running back, here's what you can make. It don't matter if you 4-star, 5-star, 1-star. This is what you do.
That's what it may come to, Rod.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
What they would have to do is they would have to regulate that, and they would have to make sure that the boosters on these college campuses do not break the rules. Now, that's going to take them doing a little bit of investigation. But if you set prices, because I do believe these kids are putting their bodies on the line for these universities, and all you doing is scholarshiping them and telling them they got a meal plan. No, that don't work. Okay, if you're making millions and millions of dollars off these young men playing or these young women playing in the NCAA, then they need to be compensated for it. But I believe that if you put a price tag on each position, okay, then you can regulate this. Okay, that's just my opinion. I know there's gonna be holes that people can poke in it, but you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah. And I think the NIL stuff is important. Again, I try to educate people all the time because, the casual fan always says to me, I can't believe that these athletes are getting paid all this amount of money. Well, when you look at what the universities are making off of their backs,
Yes.
it is staggering. And so I always push back on people like, okay, so you would take $1,000 scholarship and then have somebody make millions on your name? That just doesn't equate to me, doesn't make sense. So the whole structure of the NIL stuff is just really, really important. Man, we could go on for days and days about this topic, but the one thing that really hit last week, and I got a couple of emails, I got a couple of comments from some people, they love the section of the show where we did the start one, bench one, cut one, erase one. So I did mine last week, and so I'm putting the challenge out to my fellas to come up with something to get everybody thinking about. This week is Hot Rod, and you all can see that smile on his face. That smile scares me.
He's had a week to prepare.
He's had a week to prepare, and so I know Hot Rod is not going to take it easy on us, but I'm up for the challenge. So, Hot Rod, what do you got for us, man?
All right, we're going to stay a little NFL, a little football, a little defenses.
All right.
Start, bench, cut, release.
Okay.
The 85 Bears, the 75 Steelers, the 2000 Ravens, or the 86 Giants.
All right, say that one more time.
The 1985 Chicago Bears, the 1975 Pittsburgh Steelers, the 2000 Baltimore Ravens, and the 1986 New York Giants.
Okay, let me go first.
Wait
Definitely going to start with the 85 Bears team.
Hey, T,
Definitely.
let me ask one question. Are you talking about team, Rod, or are you talking about defenses?
What about defenses?
Okay. That's what I thought. I just want to clarify. Go ahead, T.
Okay, I'm gonna start the 85 Bears. I'm gonna bench those 75 Steelers because I remember them as a kid. I'm going to erase the 1986 Giants and cut the Baltimore Ravens. So start with the Bears, bench the Steelers, erase the Giants, and cut the Ravens.
Oh, man, T went through that like a hot knife through butter. He was ready for that, Rod.
And I'm standing with it.
Man, this is Rod. Man, this is tough. This is tough. I'm going to agree with T. I'm going to start the 85 Bears. I am going to bench. I am going to bench those 75 Steelers. I am going to cut the Ravens because that was a dog defense. That was a dog defense. So I'm going to cut the Ravens, man, and then I guess I have to erase from the record books, and I hate doing it, but I'm going to have to erase the 86 New York Giants. And I just feel terrible about that. Yeah. That's a hard one.
That's
a hard one.
This game, gentlemen.
I feel terrible.
Yes, sir. So, to add to that, I will agree with you, L Train. I am going to start the 85 Bears. I'm going to bench the 75 Steelers. I'm going to cut the 86 Giants and to release the 2000 Baltimore Ravens. Yeah.
Rod,
Justify your answer.
Rod, do you know how good that Ravens defense was? That mindset. Remember when they went out for pregame and all their players started urinating on the field? And this reporter and the reporter asked, "Man, what are you guys doing? Why are you urinating on the field?" They said, "We're marking our territory." That was a mindset.
Yes, I honestly, I understand. The reason I started with the 85 Bears is because the 85 Bears basically pitched a shutout in the playoffs. During the regular season, that was, I watched them and that Buddy Ryan's 46 defense absolutely bludgeon people. Okay, literally, when I go back and I watch the Dallas Cowboys and how they played the Cowboys and how they put up 55 on the Cowboys, these 55 to 44 on the Cowboys, they're undeniable. Although I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, I'm a football historian, and those 75 Steelers was mean. And when I mean mean, you're talking about Hall of Famers all over the field. You're talking about Blunt. You're talking about Jack Lambert.
Shell, Lambert, Ham.
Donnie Shell. They were Hall of Famers all over. Tony Dungy was on that defense. That's where he created the Tampa 2, was based off of the 75 Steelers. And that was hard for me to choose between the Bears and the Steelers, because I could easily put the Steelers as start. I said I was going to cut the Giants. That was tough for me because the Giants were a very, very good defense. Not just Lawrence Taylor, but you had Gary Reasons, you had Harry Carson, Martin, you had they had a great defense. The reason that I would erase the Ravens is because for me, I look at the Ravens as an anomaly. And what I mean by that is, you look at the teams that they beat. Offensively, they were, and I'm just talking, and I know I'm talking defense, but I'm just looking at the Ravens in general. When you look at Ray Lewis, Hall of Famer, great. Everybody loved Ray Lewis as a linebacker. Ray Lewis, sideline to sideline. But if he didn't have Sam Adams or Tony Saragusa, there would be no Ray Lewis. Where when you look at that Steeler defense or that Bear defense, you can pick and choose who to pull out of that defense, and they were still great. If you pull Saragusa and you pull Sam Adams out of there, or Chris McAllister on the outside, you know what I'm saying, or Jamie Sharper, don't get me wrong. Are they a top 5 defense of all time? Yes. I just wasn't so. I guess the way T thinks of the 75 Steelers, I think of the 2000 Ravens. That's just how I think about them. And it's like, don't get me wrong, and I know that our fans going to be like, well, that's just disrespectful. Not trying to disrespect the Ravens, but I just hold the Bears. I believe that the Bears and the Steelers, if you don't have those two teams, you don't have the Ravens. Because if you're thinking about it, their linebackers coach was Mike Singletary. Okay, so I'm just looking at it from that aspect. I mean, I could flip the Giants and the Ravens, but I don't like the Ravens. Never have. Art Modell took them. We should have had that Super Bowl. Let's be honest. Yeah, I'm bitter. We should have had that Super Bowl. Okay, yeah, he took the Browns out of Cleveland, went to Baltimore, won a Super Bowl. Took Ozzie Newsome, one of the greatest tight ends of all time, and made him GM. And what did he do? He went and put a Super Bowl team together.
He was great. He was great. Ozzie was great at that position.
So yes, I hate the Ravens. So yes, erase the Ravens. The more I keep talking about it, erase the Ravens. Yeah, erase them.
Well, that was a good one, man. We're gonna be doing this one every week. The Bears, man, that was hard to choose from. I can't wait to see what T comes up with next week. I'm
gonna stick with the NFL.
All right. I can't wait to see that. Well, fellas, again, another great show, another great week. 3 the hard way. We're rolling. We're growing this thing week by week. We appreciate all the people that subscribe, all the people that leave comments, all the people that listen. We're just going to continue to grow this thing, and it's going to get better and better and better. So please hit that like and subscribe button. Fellas, what do you got for your parting shot?
I'm going to go first real quick. Last week, our homegirl got drafted in the second round, 5th pick, 17 overall, Cheyenne Sellers, and was immediately cut by the Golden State, the Valkyries or whatever they call it. And I hate Bay Area basketball, starting with those Warriors, but she was immediately picked up by the Atlanta Dream. So my prayer for her is when she plays Golden State, she dropped nothing but buckets on them when she plays. Now, I know the WNBA, there's only a few, and Lionel, more, you coach the women's game. There's, not enough, slots on those teams for those girls, but I'm praying that she makes that squad in Atlanta, and when she plays Golden State, she drops buckets on their heads. Because that girl can play.
She's going to drop some buckets.
Yeah, she can play.
Yeah. What do you got, Rod?
Well, I'm going to go in this direction. I want to say, I know we said at the beginning of the program, I want to say it now. I want to say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers that are out here, to all the wives that takes care of their families. My shout out, my parting shot is to each and every mom that is out here putting in the work, taking care of the kids, taking care of families. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers that are out there from 3 the hard way, baby.
Yes, Happy Mother's Day. In particular, to Mrs. Austin back home in Warrensville. Mrs. Austin was like my second mom. When she needed to be firm from across the fence, she was firm. Whenever she needed to be loving from across the fence, she was loving. So, Mrs. Austin, if you're out there listening to the show,
She listens.
have a happy Mother's Day. Greg and I miss you way up here in the Midwest, but we think about you all the time.
And my grandmother's 104 too, Lionel, so she's still there too. 104.
Wow.
Still lives behind the old Eastwood Elementary.
Wow. My parting shot for this week is the parents of Donovan Jackson, left guard from Ohio State University. You know, they had their rookie mini camp up here in Minnesota in Eagan. And so I know that his parents had a chance to tour U.S. Bank Stadium. And you're talking about a guy that played in the Horseshoe. The Horseshoe is one of the greatest college stadiums there is. And to see the emotion that his mom and dad felt walking through USA Bank Stadium this week was just absolutely extraordinary to watch. All of those emotions, man, when you're driving your kid around to Pop Warner or, you know, Little League or whatever sport you play, once you get to that pinnacle and you finally arrived at something that you've been dreaming about, not only as a player, but as a family, just to see some of those emotions and some of the things that Donovan Jackson's dad had to say about the Minnesota Vikings drafting his son and the future of his son, man, it was just great to watch. So I think that was a really significant week for Donovan Jackson and his family, and it was just great to see. So that's my parting shot, fellas. That's my parting shot.
Right on. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Well, again, thank you, fellas, for joining us. We got Hot Rod. Check out his Let's Talk About It podcast. Got my boy Terrence Austin, better known as T. He's not in his bookstore today. He's in his man cave. I like the man cave, by the way. I like the Cleveland Browns representation in the back. Check out his bookstore as well. The Spoken Word, I believe it is.
Printed Word. Printed Word bookstore,
I'm sorry.
Portsmouth, Virginia.
Yep, the Printed Word. So check that out. Make sure you order some books for him to help increase literacy here in the United States. And then my little podcast, Unconventional Playbook. You know, we put out stuff daily on the Minnesota Vikings. Talk a little bit of Minnesota Timberwolves, so check that out as well.
And
Fellas,
you were going in on the herd this week too, L. Train. You were going in.
Don't get me started on Colin. Don't get me started on Colin. I can fill up 3 hours getting on that dude. Don't get me started. But we'll save that for another show. This has been 3 the Hard Way. We're going to continue to come at you. Thank you for your support. Until next week, we'll see you when we see you, fellas.
Take care, fellas. Have a great week.